What's up guys, welcome to AnimeKouhai. If you want to help me out, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel.
They were joined by a few other rare invitees, all here on my invitation, and the rest of my staff were all on hand as well, making it a packed house. Milam and the Demon Lord crowd were not invited. If I had too many people here, we'd lose cohesion. We had a lot to talk about this time, so the itinerary was already pretty full. One concern of mine, though, was Veldora. He was holed up in a corner of the room, pouting, and I was sure he was gonna say something, probably whining about how no challengers showed up. Hoping against hope that he wouldn't derail this thing, I got the meeting started.
First off, thanks to everyone for your help.
That was our signal to begin. The first person to speak was Benimaru, surprisingly enough.
That was quite a shock, however, Sir Rimuru, you penalizing the merchants that way as well. I was not expecting that.
The rest of my cabinet nodded in agreement. I guess the majority figured it was water under the bridge once the coins were paid. Seeing how harsh I was must have surprised them more than I thought.
Indeed.
Rigurd said.
I did not expect such draconian measures myself.
Hearing this must have piqued Gazel's curiosity.
What? How did you handle them, Rimuru?
I explained the whole story to the audience. When I was done, Gazel rolled his eyes at me.
That was certainly drastic.
But he didn't get angry, at least, demonstrating he understood my view of things, if only a little.
I think he did the right thing. If someone nips you, you nip them back. He was only thinking about what's coming ahead, wasn't he?
There was no outfoxing Elmesia. Her intuition, and her knack for deciphering my mind, was almost scary.
What's coming ahead, Sir Rimuru?
Benimaru asked. I shrugged.
Well, it's just like I said to all of them. I have no intention of sitting downwind from the Council of the West forever. If possible, though, I'd like to build a friendship where we're all on equal footing.
Yes, we're aware of that. That is why we were prepared for a patient process, up to that point.
I nodded back at Rigurd.
Right, so listen. That Duke, Muse, was just an errand boy, like Lady Elmesia said. I rejected him, and I followed their rules while I did it. If they want to continue this, their only choice is to send someone higher up on the food chain.
I suppose so, yes.
So you think we will have another chance to negotiate with them soon?
Yep, and that round will come after the terrible mistake they committed today. I think we'll kick off our next round of talks with just as much of an upper hand.
I see.
I think the other side doesn't want to make it look like they're clearly our enemy. That's why they wanted to put a dog collar on me, like we just saw them try, and now that they failed, they're gonna have to face up and admit we can be an equal partner. And with that,
either they wage economic warfare against us or they go back to the table. And neither side is really prepared for the former. Each one, after all, has a fully functional economic bloc even if the other side doesn't exist.
Gazel was right. And in this case, once our negotiations ended next time, that would be it, and we'd have an overwhelming advantage.
And if that's how things turn out, then we can start working independently with each member of the Western nations, regardless of what the Council's laws or whatever say. It's not war so much as an economic invasion, I suppose.
And you can leave that to me, Sir Rimuru. In fact, I could present you with all the Western nations on a tray in short order.
I'm not asking for that, Diablo. In fact, it's not what I want at all. He was freaking me out again.
Look, if you do that, it's just gonna leave me with more garbage to deal with, alright?
No, definitely no.
My pardons, sir.
You little brown-noser. Enough butting in and go fetch some more tea for Sir Rimuru.
Shion landed a follow-up blow to the dejected Diablo. I wasn't much a fan of her act, either, but let's ignore that for now.
Admittedly, I do think we could execute Diablo's idea, if given ample time. But, for now, at least, there's no point in doing that. I could think about it if there's a bunch of conflict going on, but it'd involve a lot of pain on our part. If we're just trying to build friendly relations, I don't want to go through that much trouble for it.
That seemed to convince everyone. We had our hands full just trying to improve our own country. Our first priority right now, above everything else, was to establish a firm economic bloc for ourselves.
Yes.
Elmesia said.
Your opponent will have no choice but to negotiate. But I have to sympathize with them a little. It's rather hard to extract good conditions from a partner for whom economic sanctions and military threats mean next to nothing.
The same could easily be said for Thalion, I think, but she was right. It's safe to say that our rivals' options were restricted at best.
I see.
Geld replied.
That makes sense to me. So why go down so hard on the individual merchants?
Maybe he felt I was being vindictive. It wasn't like all of them were in collusion with Duke Musée, and those who were might have been forced into it out of obligation or the like. Revoking their Tempest business licenses was the biggest surprise to my peers. But I had a reason, of course. I smiled and tried to explain, but before I could open my mouth, Mjolmile, his smile even bigger than mine, intervened.
The reason is simple, everyone. Just like Emperor Elmesia said, if someone nips at us, we have to nip them back.
How do you mean, Mjolmile?
Nip them back? I'm not sure that's enough explanation.
Benimaru, Rigurd, and Geld were still in the dark. Diablo was not, but he just poured out his tea instead of commenting. Maybe he was still a bit bent out of shape about before. Pretty weak-minded for a demon, isn't he?
Sir Rimuru asked me to take care of the remaining details for him. What he meant by that was to make those stranded merchants obligated to us and turn them into forces for ourselves.
Wow, Mjolmile. I figured my message would get across to him, but he perfectly understood my intentions the whole time. I was going to fill him in afterward for safety's sake, but it looked like I wouldn't need to.
If you want someone to do your bidding, it's far easier to have them owe you a favor, rather than browbeating or scaring them into it. It's also successful quite a bit more often.
Those were Elmesia's words, and all I did was put them into action. There might have been a little scaring and browbeating added to the mix, but I don't think I made any mistakes.
Ah yes. Well played, Sir Rimuru.
Indeed, that makes sense to me, too. So, Sir Mjolmile, did you succeed in winning them over to our side?
Without fail, indeed. I told them I would intervene in their cases, and now they're all indebted to us. Thanks to that bit of threatening from Sir Rimuru, things went much easier than I expected.
Mjolmile grinned as he spoke, making him look a tad villainous. I was glad he was successful, but he was making me out like a mob boss or something. I wasn't too fond of that, but ah well. Regardless, everyone seemed to understand my reasoning now, so we moved on to the next topic. The next topic, or really, the main topic, I should say.
So as we've described to you, Molly here has taken care of the merchants for us. It's a problem that's given me a headache for several days, and now that it's behind us, I'd like us to share some thoughts on how we feel about the Founders Festival. Any feedback you have to offer is fine, so let's get talking.
The moment I finished speaking, Gazel cleared his throat.
Rimuru, as the king of a nation allied to you, there's something I want to say. I think we talked a little bit last night about you going out of control, but what I saw during the festival disturbed me. What was the meaning of that?
What?
I had no idea what he meant, but judging by the grumpy look on his face, I had done something bad again. What it was, I really had no clue. Maybe my outburst against the merchants? It didn't seem that way.
You aren't aware of it yourself, then? See. This is exactly why I can't take my eyes off you for a moment. Vester, you said that projector was developed by you and Sir Gabel, correct? And was it also you who came up with the technology to transmit images from remote locations?
Ah, Your Majesty, that.
Vester looked like a boy caught with his hand in the cookie jar. Did he get so wrapped up in research that he forgot to report back to Gazel? Probably so.
Careless as ever.
I heard Kaijin say under his breath.
My lord, that is incorrect. Sir Vester and I did develop that technology, yes, but the idea of incorporating the Demon Lord Clayman's magical image recording items in the projector was none other than Sir Rimuru's.
Oh, thanks, Gabel. Did he really think it was smart to blab about that? I winced as Vester looked like he wanted to crawl into a hole.
I thought so.
Gazel replied, looking tired.
I truly wish you could have given me some advance notice before you revealed that thing.
We only saw it as a useful and vital invention for entertainment purposes. But to the assembled royalty and nobility from the Western nations who witnessed it, the reaction was quite different.
Why? This technology has so many potential uses.
Gazel ruefully continued.
I hardly even know where to begin with it. But trust me, not a soul in the audience failed to understand how valuable it was.
Really? Because to me, it was just, like, hey, check out the tournament fights on this big, easy-to-view screen. Everyone dug it, it was good, and that's that. But to the world leaders on hand, it was a pretty heavy dose of culture shock.
Something like that could change the way wars are waged.
Gazel's friend Vaughn chimed in, Dolph nodding in agreement. It was all too easy, it turned out, to think of military purposes for it. Giving orders to armies from a safe location, for example, would provide a huge advantage. Generals could send in assault teams to conduct enemy recon and channel their findings over to the main force, all without exposing themselves to any danger. Compared to person-to-person magical communications, this provided far more information far more quickly. Everyone was provided with the same visual and audio data, vastly improving the accuracy of orders. Thus, this thing that we casually revealed to them was actually a revolutionary technology, one that had the potential to completely revamp civilization as this world knew it. I made it because I thought it'd be kinda nice to have, but it was really a Pandora's box of ideas.
I wish you told me earlier.
I blurted out.
I wish you told me earlier.
Gazel bellowed back. Now I regretted it, but hey, that's what this meeting was for. Things don't go the way you want them to all the time.
Well, it should be said that running that projector requires a lot of magicules, so it doesn't work unless the user's pretty powerful magically. The range and quantity of data also depend on the user, so I don't think this is gonna spread that fast, you know?
I tried to deflect the issue as best I could. That issue was actually being addressed with the development of a new magicule gathering system, but something told me I shouldn't mention that right now. I'd break the news to Gazel in private later. For now, the Dwarven King sighed.
Regardless, please try not to present such militarily useful technology without a moment's thought again, could you? Why? I think you may be the only person in the world who'd think of developing this for entertainment purposes.
I thought that wrapped up the topic, but then Elmesia spoke up.
Yes, if you have any other inventions like that, I'd be happy to buy them, you know. I believe the world you come from has what's known as a patent system. I would gladly compensate you for the rights to this technology, if you would give us priority in harnessing them.
You know, Ellie, I think the Lion could do a lot with Tempest's bath and toilet infrastructure.
I know, Ellen. Our negotiations with Mr. Yoshida have paid off as well. So I hope to see you pay more visits to my manor in the future, all right?
Oh, of course.
Before I could reply, Ellen broke into the conversation. She was seated adjacent to Elmesia, and the way they carried on, they seemed like two loving sisters more than anything.
That's it for this video, guys. Thank you for always watching my videos and supporting my channel.
Shout out to Thomas McAllister, Laurentius Cataline Deduyanu, Rahul Subramanian, Light Gaming, Nabo, Canaria MLBB, Jason Kenji, Mark Lloyd, Mike Luis, and last, but not the least, shout out to William Yancey. I'll see you guys in the next video.